Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be reviewing the Transformers earthspark Warrior Class Elita-1. Now, first and foremost, we will be taking a look at the figure herself. Now, right off the bat, she is one of those cheaper gimmicky figures that are more targeted towards a younger audience. So there's not really a whole lot to talk about here. But I'll give you a quick review of this figure and give you my thoughts on the figure, and to tell you if this is a decent enough kid's toy or not. So here's the figure from the back. Surprisingly clean. Like, obviously there is a bit of back kibble, but overall it's pretty clean. I do like how tidy that is. Do get a couple panels, but it's all good. Now, getting a close up of her noggin. Pretty decent head sculpt, considering the price point. Looks alright. Getting a good look at the figure. Very nice. I do really like this magenta color that the majority of the figure is molded in. It's like this swirly metallic magenta color. I do really like the color of that. I do really like that color. This color really works for her. I do like it. Now the shoulder pads are kind of interesting because from head on, her shoulders do look really nice. They look very similar to how they look on the box art. However, if you try to look at her from the top, and I can see that the illusion of how accurate the shoulders are kind of breaks. But again, not too bad. Not looking too bad. There's also parts of the figure that are molded in this light pink color, as well as parts that are painted in such color. Very nice. Again, not a whole lot to her, but it's also very nice. I believe I've already mentioned how kibbly the back is. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Do like how overall clean it looks. I do like how the tires are just splayed out like this. Does give her an interesting silhouette. And moving down to the legs, do you see that she has these giant wheels that are just out on the side, much to be expected. Oh, she even has that 3mm hole for a flight stand. Because even these cheaper figures have such features. Very nice. Let's move on to articulations, shall we? So the head, there's absolutely no articulation in the head. It's just there. There's no swivels, there's no up and down, it's just there. And that's fine. We're not expecting a whole lot of articulation out of these types of figures. The shoulders, they can swivel around a good bit they can swivel around a good bit, like, although you do have to worry about, like, this, about the chest piece, like, coming off. But it can swivel around. Can't really do a 360, but it can swivel around. Then we have the shoulders. Then we have these ball jointed shoulders right here. It's a very odd ball joint. Like, you see how it's put in? Like, the ball joint's like put in from the side. So you see her arms can come out to about that far. That's nice. And they can go back, but in order for them to go forward, you have to utilize that mushroom joint, which kind of breaks the sculpt of that. But it's not too bad. It can go out. It can look nice going out, and you can. And it also has a ball. She also has a ball joint in the elbow. Very nice. You do get a good range of that ball joint. And there are ways you can pose the arms so it can look alright. Very nice. Then I'll get into this other hand in a second. But she has the same articulation on this arm. She has more articulation in this hand than in this one, but I'll get into that in a second. For right now, let's get into the hips. The hips are on ball joints. They can kick out that far. They can kick out even more when you move them to the side. She can almost do a whole splits, and she can kick back, though the back kibble can hinder her articulation a little bit in that regard. It's not too bad. And she has a knee joint, very nice, and a like 90-degree at the knee. She has a 90-degree at the knee, but you would expect the knee to be here, but no, in reality it's here. So her knees are a tad bit lower than expected, but that's fine. And no sign of any ankle tilts. So overall, her articulation is pretty basic, not too bad. Now let's get into like her main feat gimmick thing that the packaging advertises. So on this hand, she has like this little pistol weapon. But if you flip this out, she gets a larger rifle weapon. And this can like swivel, can like hinge out. This can swivel around. And then it's alright. It's an interesting little gimmick. Let's just put that there for now. Alright. So we can move her. So right now let's do some size comparisons, shall we? Here is this version of Elita-1 right next to the Siege Optimus Prime mold, my custom Centimus Prime. Here she is next to Crosscut. So she's around deluxe size. Around that size. And here she is, and just because here she is next to the Legacy one that I've done unboxing for. So from head to toe, they're about the same size. So that's interesting to know. So she is a decently sized warrior class figure. So let's transform her, shall we? Now, her transformation is going to be pretty simple, but there are some little bits of the transformation that makes it kind of interesting. So, starting off, let's bend her knees backwards as far as they can go and tap her legs together. Now you bend her knees backwards and like move this back. We'll get back to the legs later, but for right now, let's pull this out. Hinge this downward so that this kibble thing can tab into the legs like so that the roof lines up. Then you pull the chest out and flip this panel around and fold that in over the head, over the back of the head. Then you can rotate the shoulders so that they line up with what's now the hood. You take this gun, you flip it. Actually, we'll get to that later. For right now, let's move these panels and fold them down. And this is going to be one of the more tricky parts of the transformation, because everything has to line up nicely. And very few things would want to. There are things that have to like line up, like, oh yeah, let's swivel these parts of the wheels. So like these like rims, so like these like fenders, you swivel those around so that they line up. Then you fold these panels down and have it so that everything snaps in nice and neatly. Very nice. Then what you do is you take this arm, you flip it down, and this peg is going to go into this little L-shaped hole, right? That just tabs into there. Very nice. Then you do the same with the other side, but for this arm, you take this gun, and then you swivel it around all the way. Swivel it around all the way so that this little nub goes into that little, like, not that little, like, groove. Then you just tab in this arm the same exact way. You line it up. Again, this little tab is going to go into this little L-shaped hole right there. This one is a little bit harder to work with due to the gun, but it is doable. And then after all is said and done, here's Elita-1 in her car mode. And I will say, her car mode looks alright. Now let's take a look at the car mode, shall we? Come on, car. Come on, camera. Line up. Line up, please. That should be fine. Now, so this version of Elita-1 appears to have taken an off-road vehicle as a... She must have scanned an off-road vehicle as a Earth vehicle. She must have scanned an off-road vehicle. Dang, I messed up with that. What I'm trying to say is she transforms into an off-road vehicle with some big hefty tires and a very familiar shape. Now the front is very nice. You do get the chest and shoulder details forming the front end of the car. Very nice. You do get a windshield that is actually done up in this gunmetal color. None of the other windshields are done up in that color. You do get the little review mirrors picked out, sculpted out. You do have little sculpted out details of the doors, very nice. And you do even get some little sculpted out detailings for the taillights. If the camera, yeah, right there, very nice. This is how the car looks like from the back. You even get the little like rails on the top of the car, and this is how she looks from the bottom. Good bit kibbly. It's mostly here. Back here, it's not too bad. Very nice. Does have an interesting little shape to it. And as all rolling things should, she rolls very nicely. It's a very nice and solid car mode that rolls pretty nicely. Very, very good. I like it. Now, let's get on to some size comparisons, shall we? So first, let's compare her to the Netflix Optimus Prime. So that's how she compares to him. Okay, here she is next to Skids. So you can see that she is about as tall as she is about as tall as Skids and about as wide as he is, but she is not as long as him. So she does compress down a little bit. And just because here she is next to the Netflix Elita-1 right here. So you can get that little comparison. And in case it wasn't obvious enough, she doesn't come with any accessories. She just has that little gimmick to her, and that's basically it for her. So overall, she's a decent warrior class figure. She does lack in articulation, and her gimmick is alright. Her transformation, while simple, and has a little bit of flair to it, to some capacity. However, it does get a little challenging to line things up, but once you do, it comes together as a very solid off-road vehicle, which is very, very nice, very interesting car mode for Elita-1 to have. So overall, this is a nice, a nice, Elita-1 for, a young collector to have. A young collector that really enjoys simple Transformers, but still has a decent bit of transformation to it. Overall, it's not too bad. Not too bad. I will say, it's also a decent. it also makes a decent placeholder for those who have yet to have gotten a more advanced the legacy one or the Netflix one. For those who don't have those figures, this is a good placeholder for that. Again, overall, I do like her, and it's very nice. It's alright. I think it's alright. And that'll be it. If you enjoyed this review, consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.